Max Payne was a pivotal point in the shooter genre, similar to Doom or Halo. Where Doom revolutionized the first-person shooter genre and Halo paved the way for the sci-fi alien shooter genre, Max Payne really showed everyone how third-person shooters would be made moving forward. The game's development began in early 1996 with Death Rally fresh out of the oven. The idea was for a rogue cop game titled Dark Justice, something that was later parodied in Max Payne 2 with Dick Justice. Eventually being changed to Max Heat, 3D Realms reportedly spent $20,000 on marketing this name, only for Remedy to ultimately settle on Max Payne, and the rest was history. Remedy wanted to create a third-person shooter akin to Tomb Raider, but with a better camera system. An early build of Max Payne was shown off at E3 in 1998 and was originally scheduled for release in the summer of 1999.
Tonight, the city's fight against the nightmare drug Valkyr took a turn for worse. As the body of
earlier today, the mayor stated that the drug Valkyr represents a clear and present danger to the entire city of New York.
Special Agent Alex Balter was found brutally slain at the construction site of the new...
Agent Balter had been shot repeatedly from point-blank range. A suspect was seen leaving the after the shots had been fired, and according to
NYPD is currently in pursuit of Max Payne, a repeated felon
believed to be armed and extremely dangerous.
However, it was delayed multiple times for various reasons. The graphics and lighting were fully reworked in 2000, which was shown off in a trailer that year.
Remedy designers intend to take the real-world New York City scenes down a notch into the gritty underworld of film noir. Rudy Giuliani won't be pleased. One sequence left me so excited, I almost screamed out in pleasure. While the story is intense, it isn't as intense as the action.
Max Payne, a man with nothing to lose.
It was finally set for release on July 23, 2001, however, due to a small clerical error on the customs form, the copies of the game were mistakenly sent to Memphis, Tennessee instead of Dallas, Texas. This caused a 2-day delay while the games were sent over to their intended destination to be distributed internationally. A 5-year development cycle involving multiple delays and a full texture and lighting rework, only to be delayed an additional 2 days due to a simple error on a piece of paper. You can't make this stuff up. Remedy's Max Payne was a groundbreaking game. I'm not saying this because it's a flawless game. It's not. It has many issues that make it somewhat difficult to play and fully enjoy at times, such as unfair enemy placement, an occasionally unpredictable aiming system, as well as sometimes brutally difficult AI. However, none of this changes the impact it had. It is a fun, thrilling game that defined the third-person genre at the time. Its cinematic feel broke new grounds thanks to Remedy taking heavy inspiration from gun fu movies popularized by John Woo, who is actually referenced in the game.
It's me! Open up! Let me in, quick!
Not so fast. The password. John who?
Come on. Okay, John Woo.
All right. Come right in.
They also took many cues from film noir. The whole game has a very cinematic style in its gameplay. Dual-wielding guns, dodge rolling behind cover, and of course the thing that stands out the most with this game, jumping through the air with bullet time slow motion. You're essentially playing an action noir movie. Speaking of presentation and movies, people love to compare Max Payne to one movie in particular. Can you guess what that movie might be? The Matrix. The Matrix exploded into theaters with an attitude and a style of cinematography that still influences action movies today. Ironically, The Matrix was also heavily inspired by John Woo's movies. Is it any wonder that video games took notice of this and wanted to add a bit of that excitement and flair into their gameplay? From the trench coat that Payne wears, to the bullet time effect that I just mentioned, to just the drab, gritty color palette of the world around him, the comparison makes perfect sense. Everything is dark, depressing, and drained of happiness. However, Max Payne started development in early 1996, years before The Matrix released. At the time, there really weren't any other games like Max Payne. There were other shooters, sure, but none were as gritty as Max Payne. 2001 also saw the release of Halo, where you're saving humanity from an alien attack. Red Faction, another space-themed shooter taking place on a dystopian Mars. There were Tom Clancy games like Rainbow Six and Ghost Recon, but these games were tactical shooters, with the story taking the backseat. Of course, you had Tomb Raider, which influenced Max Payne, but that game had a totally different focus. The only other game that comes to mind is 007 Tomorrow Never Dies, but that game is obviously very different from Max Payne as well, both in gameplay and the type of story. And boy, does Max Payne have one hell of a story. I'm not going to spoil anything here that isn't revealed in the first half hour of gameplay, or that isn't stated in the description of the game, since I think you should experience it for yourself by playing the game. Max Payne is a truly broken man. He was recently promoted to an undercover detective for the NYPD, and was married to Michelle, who also worked in the legal system. He and his wife recently had a baby, which encouraged Max to quit smoking. Life was going well for Max, living the American dream. One evening, Max comes home after work to find his home has been broken into. After taking down the burglars, Max goes upstairs to check on his wife and daughter, only to find that another man has locked himself inside the bedroom with Michelle. Max eventually gets into the bedroom, but it's too late. Michelle has been killed, as well as their infant daughter, and the killer escaped out the window. In his depression, Max turns to drugs and alcohol to cope with his trauma, while he hunts down whoever is responsible for his family's death. To top it all off, he gets framed for the murder of his ex-partner because he ran from the scene while still undercover, and is now on the run from the law. All the while still chasing his family's killer. Seriously, I absolutely love this game's story. It's campy in the best way possible. Max Payne's drug abuse is actually incorporated into the healing mechanic for the game, which I thought was pretty clever. Instead of regenerative health or using medkits like other games would, Max is popping painkillers like they're Tic Tacs, something that carried over into the second and third game as well. The story itself is presented through these really timeless comic book pages that are voiced over beautifully by the late James McCaffrey, that just takes Max's character from being cool to iconic. Doing the comic book thing rather than traditional cutscenes saved on development time and let the team focus on other, more exciting elements of the game. It also sped up the process of implementing any changes in the story that Remedy wanted, so they could produce the best story possible. The backgrounds for the comic used real photos that Remedy took while scouting New York, and the characters were friends and family of the developers, which saved money on a professional photo shoot. From what I could find, this style of voice-acted comic book pages in place of traditional cutscenes was unique for the time. An example of Remedy's clever writing is the excess of quips and metaphors that Max is constantly spouting throughout the game, not to mention the plethora of references to other media. Twin Peaks, John Woo, which I mentioned earlier, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and of course The Matrix, and many more. Remedy really put a lot of effort into Max Payne, and it shows. I believe this is a major reason it has stuck so much with fans throughout the years. Another amazing aspect of the game that not only serves to enhance the setting and the mood, but also helps convey the emotions that Max is going through, is the soundtrack, especially the main theme. Such a simple piano melody does so much to set the depressing atmosphere of Max's character and the events that are taking place. The main theme was composed by Kartsi Hataka and Kimo Kajatso. They seriously outdid themselves with this amazing piece, one of the best video game soundtracks I've ever heard. Especially for 2001, the interactivity of the environment is rather impressive. You can flush toilets, turn on sinks, dispense sodas from vending machines, turn on TVs and radios, spin slot machines, even play musical instruments. You can even read newspapers with comic strips about Captain Baseball Bat Boy. With the TV, they play episodes of in-game shows. Lords and Ladies, a parody on soap operas about love and romance, and Address Unknown, a parody love letter to Twin Peaks, except set in noir York City, that also parodies Max Payne's writing style at the same time. Remedy also truly knocked it out of the park with Max Payne's physics engine. Each bullet is a physical object that takes time to travel distance. Certain items in the environment can be knocked over or broken when shot at. Mirrors, computers, TVs, radios, control panels, lights, elevator speakers, alarms, fire extinguishers, locks on doors, and even soda cans. All of this was thanks to a physics engine that Remedy developed specifically for Max Payne, that was dubbed Max FX. There's so much extra interactivity, something that Remedy has always put into their games. Here's a fun Easter egg. If you shoot the alarm in the bank vault mission so it goes silent, Max will thank you for it.
Thank you.
I love all of these little extra details in this game. It adds so much to the immersion. Remedy really has released a ton of great games. The Max Payne series, the Alan Wake series, which I seriously need to play, Quantum Break I also need to play, and Control, which I need to finish. Despite all their great games, Max Payne remains one of my favorite trilogies of all time. The first game especially will always hold a special place in my heart because I grew up playing it. It was actually the first M-rated game that my parents let me play. Granted, that only happened because I cut the teen rating from Guitar Hero and stuck it on the cover of Max Payne. For whatever reason, they never bothered to check the rating on the back of the game, and I got away with it. To be honest though, I was already playing San Andreas at that point anytime I was home alone. There was also a Max Payne movie in 2008 for some reason. On paper it sounds great, a gritty action movie with lots of fun gunplay. Only one problem, they didn't go with that aspect at all. The movie has this very slow pace with a big focus on religious symbolism through the Valkyr-induced hallucinations, rather than the film noir story that made Max Payne so great in the first place. It was a Max Payne movie in name only. Coming out in 2008 placed it between the release of Max Payne 2 and Max Payne 3, but I didn't notice any story elements in the movie from Max Payne 2, or too much from the first one either, to be fair, outside of dead family framed for murder. In 2022, there were rumors of a reboot movie being in development, but it has been 3 years now with no new info. I'd say it's dead, but hopefully there will be more interest in the project if the game remakes ever come out. No clear time frame on those either, sadly. This isn't super relevant, just something I noticed while doing research for this video, which is why I put it towards the end. But earlier versions of this game had a much bigger focus on the Valkyrie drug. From what I read, it was a failed super soldier program that was turning people into monsters, like what can be seen in the first trailer. This plot did sort of make it to the release game. I mean, there's mentions of Valkyrie being a failed experiment, but obviously there's no Banes running around New York City in the final game. Also, not that it really matters, but I thought it was interesting. I noticed in the early trailers that the news said Alex was killed at a construction site, while in the final game it's at a subway station.
Special Agent Alex Balter was found brutally slain at the construction site.
It would be interesting to learn more about this original story. Maybe I'll make a follow-up video if I can find more info on this version of the game. If anyone has any info on this, please share it in the comments. I'd love to know more. Thank you all so much for watching the first video in this series. If there's any other games, movies, or other topics you want me to talk about next, leave a suggestion down in the comments. Oh, and one more thing before you click off. I've set up a Patreon if you would like to support me. Members of the Patreon will get to watch my videos early, as well as receiving a special thank you at the end of my videos here on YouTube. No matter what, my focus will always be on making entertaining YouTube videos rather than trying to monetize everything, but obviously I do need to make money too. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Perhaps in the streets of Hong Kong?